Welcome back to another episode of The Summer of Me. We have a guest today, our very first honorary. We are talking about friendship today and just kind of discussing like what it is to make friendships as a mom, as a woman, as like an adult, like friends that you don't carry through childhood, and how to keep them, which so far we've done a pretty good job.
Pretty good.
So I'm going to introduce Jess, my best friend, Jessica Garvin, and we're just going to just chat about our friendship and kind of share some stories. Hopefully we don't bore you guys, but
You had to be there.
you had to be there. But also just, I think Jess is one of the people in my life that I think has the most rich friendships across the board. And so we're going to just pick her brain a little bit on how she has built friendships in her life and just how our friendship has grown.
It's been the best.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank
Welcome
you.
to the podcast.
So excited.
Okay. First and foremost, I feel like we need to talk about how we met and why we met.
Yeah. Most frequently asked question.
Yeah. Yes, we do get this a lot. We
met like we became friends like 10 years ago. Before
when we were pregnant.
Before there was even Instagram.
Pregnant.
We were pregnant with Harper and Baylor.
Yeah. Our two oldest.
And we both had like mom blogs kind of, but it was more like design.
They were cool mom bloggers.
Design focused.
Jess went viral like on about a chalkboard.
Making giant chalkboards.
Giant chalkboards with like her belly.
Yep. And so I feel like we met through that.
Yeah.
We both had Etsy shops, though that was it. Like I think I bought
pig
onesies from your Etsy shop,
and
then
we started
the most
atrocious.
Not atrocious. They were so cute.
I worked a sweatshop. I was like literally heat pressing onesies in my garage.
Yeah.
You bought a onesie from me, and then like we just hit it off. We just started like talking,
texting. We exchanged phone numbers at some point in time. We would like text and talk during like witching hour with our kids.
Yeah.
Like when things were hard.
So one of the things I talked about on podcast episode that you guys have probably heard is loneliness. Like it's very isolating to be like in motherhood alone. Yeah. And when you find your people, like it's a very powerful thing. So I feel like we kind of felt like, oh my God, like I remember us saying like,
oh, we live parallel lives.
We live parallel lives across the country in different states.
Yeah.
We would always say this. And it was like, there was nothing tying us together. We didn't know mutual people.
No.
We just like, were like, I love your vibe. You love my vibe.
Yeah.
Like we had like this weird like connection.
Yeah.
We online dated kind of.
Yeah, we really did. We matched.
We matched on Tinder.
And then this went on for like so long. And then I was doing essential oils and I was like, you should do this with me. Of course, you asked no questions. You were like, yeah, I'm in. Like, where do I sign?
Red flag. That's the fault of our friendship. Where do I sign?
Actually, yes. Asking no questions. So we were doing oils, and then that's when we met in person. We met in Utah.
Yeah.
We went all places.
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
Where dreams are made.
Wait, and I remember like we very first met, and we were going to dinner for Brandon's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And we had already had like a crew, and I was like, are you coming? And you were like, yeah, I'm coming. I was like, get in the car. And you had a baby, and you just like jumped in the car without like a car seat. You just had your baby in your lap, and I was like, fuck yeah.
Don't call the police.
It's the fifth kid. Like,
no, this was like
fourth kid.
Third. This was Winnie, I think.
I think it was the fourth kid.
This is how I know I have too many kids. It was one of the kids. I had like.
Wait, because also, was I not trying to see you in Seattle?
Oh,
we even met in person before this.
No. Okay. I know exactly how this went. Welcome to our friendship story. It's very clear. I was giving birth on the day you guys were in Seattle.
To your fifth kid.
To Nora. No, to Nora.
Okay.
Because that was in April for your birthday.
Yeah.
Memphis is born in April. It was Memphis.
It was your last kid. Okay. So we met in person before that then.
Yeah. Anyways, this is all beside the point. We met in person and we were like, holy shit. Like we just hit it off. Like
hit it off immediately.
Had the best time. We were like drinking champagne and just like, we just connected.
Breaking every rule in Utah. I think all the Salt Lake City rules, drinking champagne.
Yeah. There is something to be said about like finding somebody that like on the internet, you're like, oh, are they going to be like the same person? And it's weird. Like we are in a time where you do meet people on the internet for sure. Yeah. And like we then like meeting in real life, we were like, oh, well, of course, like we're best friends. Like we just like hit it off.
Immediately. Yeah.
And then from there, like I think we kind of started seeing each other. Like we're like, we have to see each other.
You guys were like,
often.
I think we'll come visit you in Kansas City.
Yeah.
You and Colin came to Kansas City like very early on. Mm-hmm. That was when we sat in the hot tub at my lake house and had like our hair completely froze.
Yeah.
But we were like, wait, this is the funnest.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Our friendship was just like very fun from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was just like refreshing. Like there was no drama. There was no like, oh, my life is this, or I have the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we brought everybody along. Like
Yeah.
the first time we came out, I was married and brought Colin. Like I think
The second time you brought a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 of 5 kids came to the lake house the next time.
Yeah. And we just kind of like merged our lives in
Yeah.
some ways. Like we were like, listen, like it's not often that you find somebody that you like love to be with and you love to talk to. Like we started talking on the phone all the time. Like it was just like, and I know this makes us sound like we're like obsessed with each other, which we kind of are, but like also like it's just like you find your people and it's like you got to hold them tight, especially like
and
as an adult.
we're both like talking to people kind of people. Like we both love to be on the phone. Like I
Yeah.
love to be on the phone or like listening to a book.
Yeah.
Like we don't do well just sitting in a room with our thoughts. So sometimes when things get quiet, we're like,
never.
we'll just talk on the phone.
Yeah.
We would prop our phones up and like talk on the phone while we would clean our closets.
Yeah. Oh my God. I do remember that.
Like
Yeah.
so we didn't live in the same city.
So we got to a place where basically we're like, we're too good of friends to like live across the country from each other. And so we were like, let's just like commit to seeing each other once a month. And this is when Brandon was like, God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're like, we have to commit to seeing each other once a month. I had just moved to Nashville, or I was moving to Nashville because I came to Kansas City and then like you came to, we went to Nashville. We met in
Nashville. Then you came to Kansas City again. That was when you brought Bellamy.
Yeah. So we did a lot of like back and forth because I think we felt like we just like got to hang out and like spend time together. And like,
we were just having fun.
Yeah. And then fast forward, we moved.
Well, fast forward, you were house hunting in Nashville.
Yes.
We had gone out the night before, drank too much. And we were like, the next day we're driving around. Your realtor is driving us around. Shout out to Kathleen. Kathleen was like, I just got a brand new car. And we're like, cool. Well, you know, when you like first get a brand new car, you are driving like the fucking race car driver. We are just in the back seat, like getting like,
had it been
around.
any other scenario, we would have canceled. But like, we literally came to Nashville to house hunt for me. So we're like, I was like, we can't cancel. Like
96 like White Claws in our stomachs. We are both unwell in the back seat. She drops us back off at our hotel.
Cheers.
We're like flying out later that day.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers. My gum is stuck to the back of mine. We got to our hotel. And I am like,
so
I beeline for the bathroom. I'm like, I'm going to vomit. I'm such a car sick person.
No, before that, I was like, oh, Jess looks at me in the backseat and she goes, if you dare ask her to show us one more house.
Do you want to see that other neighborhood?
Yeah.
She's like, do you want to see that one other neighborhood? And I'm looking at you like, I swear to fucking God, if you say yes, I'm going to pass away. She stops. She brings us back to the hotel. I run to the bathroom. I am vomiting my brains out. And I come out and we had already had our luggages packed because we were like going to go to the airport. And I'm like, all I need right now is a toothbrush. And you were like, yeah, here's mine. I'm like, I know I just threw up. You're like, yeah, I don't care. And I was like, all right, this is it. Like, this is like a best friend.
Yeah.
Like someone who's like,
yeah,
I don't really care. And then I think you proceeded to like still use it later.
This is the best friend. There's no boundaries. No boundaries.
Because then we were so hungover. We got a room again. We asked for a room for the day so we could lay in bed and we ate pizza. And then you were like in the bathroom brushing the tooth. I was like, that's okay. Cool. We're good.
I think another moment that like contributes to like our like a testament to our friendship. We were on an airplane. Where were we going?
Nashville.
We were flying home somewhere or something like that. And like one thing to know about us is like
Utah. It was Utah last year or 2 years ago.
Damn Utah.
Utah.
We are like kind of feral, but like not too much, but like not worried about germs. Like when I say like no boundaries, like we really just like, it's like whatever, what's mine is yours. Like I would put your underwear on like if I had to. Like
I think you have. Actually think you have.
If I wore underwear, I would. Anyway,
maybe it was a bodysuit.
Yeah, whatever. Like we're all just like, this is what like builds beautiful friendships though, is like if you're like, I don't fucking care about like we're
not care.
Like it's just like
we're
a
just
mutual
like grown
like
women.
depth.
Who cares? Like once you've like had kids, like nothing's off limits. Like whatever.
There's
true. No such thing as TMI.
It's true. And I was like, this airplane was so hot and I was like, I'm sweating. And I had a glass of champagne, I think, with ice in it or something like that. And Jess reached her hand in my glass, like grabbed a piece of ice and like started rubbing it on my arms. I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, shut the hell up. You're still going to drink that. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Did you just put your hand in my ice water? I'm like, do not act
dirty
like you're not
airplane
still
hands.
Drink this. And you're like, yeah, absolutely.
Our friendship would never survive if we were germaphobes.
Never.
I think though, like what has made our friendship like very special is the fact that we're both just like willing to go deep with each other and be vulnerable and like there's nothing to hide. I think we like had moments like when I would come to the lake and like I remember like one day we floated on tubes for hours and like told each other like this is my story and this is like the things I've gone through and like there was no like I remember like this was an event and we clearly like we always do we were like peace out everybody like floated all the way across the lake but like it was like we just like it was like, all right, it's sort of like, I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
Yeah.
And like, no, everybody has skeletons. Everybody has skeletons
Yeah.
in their closet, and just like shit they've dealt with, whether it's a marriage or like family or whatever. Yeah. And I think the crux is like, people don't want to share that with people because they feel like they're going to be judged, absolutely. Or like, oh, they're going to, you know, think weirdly of me, or I just like don't want to tell. And like, we, from the get-go, we're like, we're going all in.
Yeah.
And I think aside from our spouses, like, it was like, this is, you know, we're going to make this friendship like something special.
And we also, I feel like around that time, we also thought, okay, everyone on TikTok, everyone on Instagram Reels, we're dancing. We're like, yeah, okay, everyone's dancing. Are we dancing? Okay, we're dancing.
We should not be dancing.
Meanwhile, we cannot.
We actually, hold on. We have to delete this from our Instagrams before people go back to the vault.
They're gone. I think we've already like scrubbed them, but we cannot dance for shit. Either one of us, not even a little bit. So for hours, we're like trying to like, we're trying to like learn these dances. And like, if there's anything that's like vulnerable and like putting yourself out there in front of another person, it's like dancing. You trying to have a fucking dance move when you like do not have
or like
one.
Follow a what is it, 8-step or 10-step?
Who knows? I don't know. But I mean, like the amount of times we'd be like, oh fuck, I messed up. Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I messed up. Oh my God, no, I look so stupid here.
Meanwhile, our kids are upstairs, like they have the entire dance down.
The kids crushing it. Yeah. So I'm like, I feel like that was.
It's true.
But I mean, the whole like point to that is like, just we were super vulnerable. We weren't like, oh, I'm embarrassed. Okay, like yeah, we'll just okay,
it's cool. Yeah,
no.
Whatever. It was like, no, we're redoing it.
Fucking delete that, Bartholomew. Well, we had already wanted to live in Nashville. We almost moved to Nashville like 7 years prior. Ended up in Kansas City for 5 years. That was kind of our like attempt at being close to family, living in the Midwest. But like Nashville was always on our radar.
Yeah.
Every time we came here, we would leave the weekend and be like, we don't want to go home. And so then you moved here, and it was like we had even more trips planned, and we were like, you know what? Like, what's holding us back? Like, let's just go. So then we ended up moving to Nashville. We've lived in the same city now for 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah. And it has been like the best. I mean,
the best.
Honestly, like if you ever have the opportunity to like move by a friend, like it is, I know that it's like not obviously like for everybody, and it's not everybody's story and whatever. And it's not obviously the sole reason that either of us moved here. Yeah. But like the way that it worked out, and we always joke like we're amazing manifestors because we did like manifest this in some way or another. It really is like the best, because when you have like real true friendships, you don't get that like with very many people. And so like leaning into it. And
it just makes life so easy. Like, okay, do you have the kids? Okay, you pick up these kids. I'll pick up those kids. We'll like meet for dinner.
It's a village.
Swap. Like that's like a genuinely, I think, really hard to find.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the first, like remember Cat and Nat? Like like we love Cat and Nat, and they're so fun and like a very real example of friendship. And I think we have that like dynamic where it's just like we parent our kids together, we raise our kids together, we like have fun, we do life together.
Also, God bless my husband who like lives with like the two of us. Well, not lives with, but like deals with
all the rumors.
Deals with like the two of us and like all the kids, and like everyone being like, okay, we want to go to this restaurant. And like, okay, no, we're dragging all the kids here. I mean, like the looks that we get when
3
we're
adults
out.
and 8 kids. That's our reservation any restaurant.
Yes.
What did Brandon made a joke about having 2 wives at one point.
Well, what did he say? He's made plenty of jokes.
He said something.
Oh, like you guys entertain each other?
Yeah, he goes, honestly, having 2 wives is the greatest. They entertain each other when you're busy.
Yeah, facts.
It's true. Anyway, so now like we see each other virtually every day. We talk on the phone probably too many times a day. And we just like have this amazing friendship. The reality is like we will be friends forever because we just know too much about each other. Like
100%.
To the grave.
100%.
But one of the questions that people ask all the time is like, how do you find friendships? And I'm sure, like, I know, like, when we share like our time together on Instagram or whatever, like people say like, how do you guys get a friendship like this? Or I want a friendship like that, or I don't know how to make friends or whatever. And so I think we can from this episode, I want the takeaway for our listeners to be like, how do you do this? And so a couple of things that I think like we've learned, and I think, like I said earlier, you've been a really clear example of like how to build friendships. Like any city that you've moved to, you've made like very close friends, whether it's neighbors or random school parents or whatever. But I think the first like lesson that you can like people can learn from our friendship at least is like, if somebody fits your vibe,
that's
call it out.
That is
like
the lesson.
Yeah.
Like if you feel drawn to somebody in any way, like you go for it. Because at one point in time, one of us had to be like, hey, should we like exchange phone numbers?
Extend an olive branch.
Do you know what I mean? And like stop just like responding to each other's like blog posts or like Instagrams.
Totally.
Like, should we, do you want to like meet in person? Do you want to hang out? Or do you want to exchange numbers? I mean, one of my like, everyone knows about my best friend in Kansas City. Her name is Joletta. She is 60, like older than me. her kids, she's an empty nester.
She's a dream.
I saw her walking down the street. Like literally this is how it started. She was walking her dog down the street.
Old people watch out because Jess will haunt you down.
I am feral. I like pointed her to my husband and I was like, she looks just like Diane Keaton. I want to be her best friend. And like my husband is like, you know, rolling his eyes laughing. And then she actually stopped and talked to us and like was talking to Brandon for a minute. And I saw her a couple days later and I literally was like, do you want to get coffee sometime? And we have talked about it so many times. She's like, when you asked me to get coffee, like I wanted to like look behind myself and be like, are you talking to me? Like, you want me to get coffee with you?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I literally wanted to be your best friend the second I met you. Like everything about her is just like makes you happy. Like the way she talks, she's so like,
and completely, she's got kids that are growing out of the house, like lives with her husband,
absolutely,
like different phase of life,
different stages of life. But like, I think that's a good lesson too. Like obviously one, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid if someone like fits your vibe or you just like see them and you're like, something about them tells me I want to be their friend, but also not to discount like where people are in their lives.
Yeah.
I think people
you hear that
really
from people
think
all the time. How do I make mom friends?
I have to be friends with my kids' moms. Like that really limits your freaking friendship pool.
Yeah.
And also when you're like fighting for your life with like 3 toddlers and like your life is freaking in shambles and everything is just hard, the last thing you want is like another friend that's also going through the worst because you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's like hard to like really put yourself out there and be vulnerable.
It's also like hard to connect when it's like, what's your toddler schedule versus my toddler schedule, or like your sports schedule versus my sports schedule.
Yeah.
I think about this with our friend Ireland, who like Ireland and I met like in a bar parking lot, and like now we've become, she lived with Jess and Brandon for a little bit, and like Ireland was like my person, like that would, she still like will go to the kids' baseball games with me. She doesn't have kids who have competing baseball schedules or whatever. She's like such a good friend, so loyal, such like a sweet companion, and like
she is literally like, she's such a good friend for like someone her age. Like I feel like
she's in her, Ireland's in her 20s, single,
so
never
mature
had kids.
as like a person. She like knows how to just.
But like we met, Ireland like walked up to me in the Red Door parking lot, I think on Division, and was like, I love your eyelashes. And I was like,
vulnerability,
their flutter
like,
habit, like and she's like, I just like wanted to be your friend. I did like just had to like think of something that like I loved about you and tell you, like, and it's like that. It's that simple. I think we overcomplicate it and be like, we have to be at the same place in our life, or we have to like know the same people or meet through a mutual whatever. And I mean, I think like my friend Anna, like we met at a dinner with Kathleen, our real estate agent. Kathleen gets all the shout outs on this episode, but like we didn't know each other. We didn't have mutual friends, but like I was like, oh, she like, I like her vibe. Like and like I was like, hey, like we should grab coffee sometime. I don't know anybody here in Nashville. Like it really is just like vulnerability, like putting yourself out there.
But when you have a ton of kids, or you have like you're in that stage where you have like toddlers and like sports games and school stuff, like it's really nice to have friends that like are either young and single and don't have like kids yet, or they're like older and they're past that stage in their life. It just makes it easier to have a friendship. Yeah. We first had friends like this when we lived in when we first moved to Florida right out of college. Someone from our hometown's parents moved to the city that we lived in, and we were immediately like, we should hang out. And she was like, you should come over for dinner. And so we became friends with them. They were our friends' parents. They were our first friends in Florida. When we moved to Atlanta, our closest friends at the time were our neighbors. They were also empty nesters.
Christy.
And Pat and Christy. And like the first thing they said to us, they were like, we need to go get our kids' old swings and put them back on our like swing set structure so that your kids can use it. Like, when you have little kids, who doesn't want a friend like that?
Yeah, exactly. It's so true.
So don't write off like I need to have all my friends be like my age and have like the same interests and the same kids' ages. It's actually, there's like such an awesome like deep level of friendship you can have with people that are at a totally different stage in life.
Yeah, because also like they're older, like they can mentor you and like give you advice and like support you. And like when people like Ireland, like she looks up to us and like feel like we have like helped her in different ways in her life.
Also, how much
and,
do our kids love her? Like, I think that every like 2nd, 4th, and 6th grader needs to have a 20-year-old best friend. Yeah, because they like freaking love them. Yeah, it's true. They like love them so much and look up to them so much.
It's so true. Another thing that like our friendship was based on from literally day one was like being authentically yourself right out of the gate. I'm not talking like 6 months down and you're like, I'm going to tell you something, like whatever. Like if you can like really lead with that, it takes your friendship to like a very, very deep level. And I think like people think like, oh, I'm only like my oldest friends know me, but like it's really not the age of the friendship, it's the depth of the friendship. And so often like we think like, oh, you know, like you have Whitney, I think of it as a great example. Like Whitney is like one of your very, very oldest friends. And like I have like a great reverence for that friendship, like for you guys and whatnot. But like it doesn't mean like I'm not going to still show up authentically and like build a deep friendship with you because you have like other friends or whatever, you know?
Well, I mean, I feel like there is something to be said about having like your friends of all your stages of life.
Yeah.
And another thing about that is like when you have those friends from like, I mean, one of my best friends in the world is my friend from 3rd grade. We still to this day keep in touch. The maid of honor from my wedding, she was my high school best friend. And like we still keep in touch, but maybe we go like 3 or 4 or 6 months without talking. There's no hard feelings. And there just cannot be hard feelings. Like anyone who is like trying to say like, well, you didn't text me or you didn't call me, like that is going to be the very first thing to put like a freaking knife in your friendship, because people just have lives that they want to live. And
you have to believe like people have good intent. And I think there are friendships that like go south because it's like, listen, I can't, like if you're constantly like thinking that I'm out to get you or I'm this or whatever, like it's never going to work anyways. Yeah. But like genuinely, like you have to believe like they're busy, like they're going to get back to me. It's not against me, or, you know, like coming in not knowing like their intent is pure. On that topic, and one thing that like we have had very, very few fights in our friendship, or not even fights. Maybe we've had like a couple like disagreements, but never have we just like let it boil over to where it's like we have addressed it.
Like we're confrontational about it.
Yes, because I think we're protective over our friendship. And I think the lesson from that is like, if you do get to like a friend, if you can find a friendship like of this level and like pour into it, you put so much into it. It is almost like a relationship to where you're like, I'm not
hey, did I hurt your feelings? Or like, hey, is something up, like, did something I do
like,
upset you?
Yeah. Like, and
being
if you're
willing
wrong,
to like
admit it.
come forward about it. Yeah,
exactly.
Agreed.
And I think like that is so many female friendships specifically are broken because nobody wants to come to the table, or like,
so
it's
agreed.
like, oh, it's drama.
It's
like,
also
it might not be drama.
It's like that texting culture. Yeah. Call somebody on the freaking phone. Like get on the phone and like hear somebody's heart. Like a lot of people's friendships are like, people are across the country from each other, right? Like most people's best friends don't live in the same city. So when you go a long time without talking, and then it's like you start to get these pent up like, oh, well, I wasn't annoyed that she didn't do this, and then like then this thing happened, and then I didn't get invited here. It's like all of a sudden there's like all this drama that's so unnecessary. Like get on the phone, get on FaceTime. Yeah. Like
I love FaceTime.
Yeah. We love a good FaceTime.
Always. Something else that I have taken away from our friendship is like keeping your inner circle small, but always having an open door. So I think like there is a reverence for like, hey, we're like, like if you're doing something, I'm going to invite you, and vice versa. Like we have other friends for sure. Like we do other things with other people or whatever. But like at the end of the day, like we know like we are like best friends, and like you're going to consider that person in those moments. And I know this was like a learning curve for me. I don't like to like mix company. And like, this was one of our like disagreements was like, there was other people in the picture, and like Jess is open door. Like you're 100%
like,
of the time.
Yeah, it's the more the merrier at my house.
More the merrier.
Invited.
And I like was the like, my issue has always been like, I hate combining
like to mix company
because I feel responsible for other people's feelings. And one of the things I've learned from you is like, it doesn't matter. Like everybody's gonna have a good time. You're not responsible. Like, and so
I did learn that the hard way, because I'm like Enneagram 7. I know you're like Enneagram Wing 7 is like, we want to be having fun, but then I'm also worried. I want to make sure that everyone else is having fun. And like, I mean, I had to learn that from Brandon. He's like, you set the stage for everybody to have fun. You cannot control if that happens or not.
Exactly.
And so it became like, okay, everybody's invited. I just like don't want people to feel like
left
and
out. I think that was like one of the biggest things I learned was like, okay, everybody can be invited. Like we can all be friends, and it doesn't like hinder anything, or like I don't have to babysit this person because they know that this person's my like. I think there's like all these weird like competing things, and it's like we create that. Like that's the drama that we like I created, or we create like, and it's like you said, you set the stage. Like if like you're welcome to come and like join in this, and like know that like this is the dynamic here or whatever. And
that's also the reason it's so important to be like your most authentic self, because I think one of the reasons people don't like inviting these friends and those friends and this friend is like,
who are you with
I'm
this
actually
person?
Such a different person around all these people. Like we are, no one is chameleoning anymore. Like you're just be your freaking self. And at that point in time, you can have everybody in your circle.
Because then you're the same person with if your parents are like, even when your parents are in town, you have friends over, or when family or always. Whatever. It's like, you are just like, everybody's welcome, you know? And so like always having that like open door does create that like environment for like friendship to just like grow and flourish.
Well, and the truth is, if you're your authentic self, like all the people that you love and that you have like meshed well with, those people should all mesh well with each other. Yeah. There's always the off chance that they're not going to, but like the reality is, like if you love them and they love you, should be no problem. Everyone like getting along and like having a good time.
It's true. And then I think the last thing that like we have really mastered in our friendship, that like sometimes when you're a mom, you like take things too seriously. I feel like one of the things we've mastered is like, we really love to have fun and like be like feral and like not like Just like, listen,
The
life
most
is
feral.
the most feral. Like life is too short to
Yeah.
be like, oh, let's just like go like hang out here. Like you better believe like if we're at a bar, we're pushing ourselves to the very front row. We are dancing. We're like line dancing. We're like, if we're out and about, like we're laughing about
it's a slippery
stupid
slope
stuff.
for us. We're like, it's a Monday. We have one margarita and we're like, should we go to Tootsie's? Okay, then we are like, we're on Broadway on a Monday and in the afternoon. Like, oh shit, we have to still leave and like go get our kids
We
from
have
school.
to pick up kids
We
from
have to be
school.
on our best behavior, but also we promise each other we're going to be on our worst behavior.
On our worst behavior. But I think like, don't take it so seriously. Everybody
Yeah.
like, you know, like I even look at like times when we went to the lake and like had just like laughed the hardest, like did the funniest things, had the funniest memories. And it's because it's like, you're not afraid to be like stupid in front of each other and just young, I guess. Like it's like that young at spirit. And I think like that's even like when you talk about Joletta and stuff, like she's young at heart. And like that's why that friendship works is because she's
the best. Can we get her here to be on the podcast?
She really is the best. I remember when you shared her on social media, didn't you call her like the butterfly lady or something? She had butterflies
She
growing.
did. She got butterflies for my kids. She got them all like monarch butterflies. And
She really
that
is
was
a
during
dream.
homeschool season.
Yeah.
But I think also like for like the whole, having fun at all times, I think for friendship, it takes like going through something to like really bond you guys. And so I feel like we've been through like a lot of things, like nothing that's like, oh my God, like this intense like trauma or these crazy things. I used to tell myself like I don't have trauma. Like when I started doing Young Living, people would always be like, oh, what's your story? What's your why? I'm like, I don't know. I don't I don't really have anything good. And then like, as I listen to everybody's, I'm like, shit, I have like so many things. Like my like growing up, I mean, I had a great childhood, but like we were,
you did eat sugar lettuce.
I mean, we did eat sugar lettuce. But I'm like, when we met, it was when I moved and like my house was under construction. We're in there, like we're freaking ripping down like that plastic off the wall, like trying to like put stuff together. Moving your houses, like obviously the divorce, like we have been.
I remember the day
shit.
I got divorced. Do you remember this? I left court. I'll never forget this. I left court. I was wearing these long red
slacks.
My red pants. They've never been broken out of the closet again. I think they live and die as my divorce pants. Anyways, I came from court and like it's just like such a like humbling experience to like sit in divorce court with like 15 other couples that are like also getting a divorce, and I was just like drained. I remember just like I had not a cell left in my body with like anything, and I walked in. I just told Jess, I was like, I have to come over. Like I can't be alone. Like this is like such a weird sad day. And I went over and like literally on like it was like Jess was already like laying in her bed. We love to like lay
getting in bed. I knew immediately we were like
to just like lay in bed and like rot and like watch a TV show. And like on the nightstand was like a bottle of champagne, a spicy water, and like an iced coffee, all three drinks, and then like a package of like Ritz crackers with peanut butter. My peanut butter crackers. It's like my emotional
I know this
support.
bitch hasn't eaten all day.
And it was just like, here's a soft place to land. Like you don't have to say anything. Like you don't have to like show up as somebody. Like just like come and like rest kind of thing. And it was like such a warm, like loving. It's like that's friendship. Like that is like. Yeah, you can expect that out of people, and you can deliver that to people. You know, I think like we were afraid to like have expectations.
Are the ones where you can just lay and not speak. How many times are we doing that? Yeah, we're just like not even talking. We're just sitting there. We're like maybe on our phones. You're scrolling for us on TikTok, and I'm just laying in bed watching.
This bitch is so lazy. Listen, if you're with Jess, don't eat wings. I have to feed her wings so she doesn't get her fingers sticky.
I don't like the feeling of stuff under my nails. It's like one of my like.
I don't either, but I will take one for
deal
the
with
team.
It, though. I cannot. I will like lose my absolute shit. I'm so sensory.
And
about that.
She doesn't. She likes to be tucked in her bed, so I scroll on TikTok. She'll like that one, heart that one. Go to the next one.
Send me that one. Keep going. I don't want to watch any more of this one. Also driving my ass around between Kendra and my husband.
It's true. I'm driving Miss Daisy. What do we say? I always say I'm your ride or die, and she goes.
Because I'll ride, but I also feel like I'm gonna die in your passenger seat.
Oh man! One time, Brandon, Jess's husband, pulled a prank on me, and put multiple pranks. But
Which prank?
One time he put a student driver magnet on the back of my car. I had no idea for the longest time. The other time though, I walked out of school. I picked up the kids, and at this time I was like parking at school, and I like walked back to my car, and I had a Yukon Denali at the time, and it was like, there's like 4 of them in the parking lot, of course, like you're at an elementary school. I'm like, God, I swear that's my car, but I don't recognize it.
Don't recognize the license plate cover?
I didn't recognize the license plate cover. I like get closer and I'm like, what the fuck? And the top of it says MILF. And then the bottom of it says, man, I love fishing. And I was like, the kids are like, oh my God, Mom, that is like the coolest license plate cover. We love it so much. And I was like, what
And Baylor proceeded to tell you to get a MILF tattoo.
And Baylor's like, you gotta get a MILF tattoo. That's like the funniest thing ever. That's like such a great creation.
Wait, but the best prank is when...
Hold on, though. Baylor is going to simply pass away when he learns what MILF actually stands for.
For sure he is.
He's gonna be like,
when
his
you
whole
said
childhood
car
was a lie.
When you said car prank, I'm thinking like, so Kendra is... Should I tell this to the general public? Because you're probably going to get your fucking car stolen.
I'm better now.
Leaves her keys in her car. Windows down, keys in the car. Like, anywhere we go.
I just like to be able to have
Brandon
a getaway
is
car.
always the responsible human telling her, like, your car's going to get stolen. Like, your keys are in your car. Your windows are down. Like,
my wallet's in the front seat. Like, I mean, so carefree.
Clean your shit up. And so he stole her car. She, like, brought her car over to our house. Brandon was like, you know what? We're going to teach this bitch a lesson. He fucking stole her car. He took it and like drove it around the block and like parked it somewhere.
You have it on video too, right?
All on video.
I like walked out of the house. This is my brand new car, my brand new Audi, by the way.
You just got it. The kids are like, Mom, your car's gone.
I was like, come on, guys, come on. Like, we gotta go. And they're like, it's not there. And I remember like I was going to say dropping my keys. I think I had like a coffee or something. I dropped whatever I had in my hands and I was like, like screaming, somebody stole my car. Stole my car. And Brandon let it like marinate for a hot second. And then he's like, this
is your lesson. Don't leave your shit in your car. Don't leave your car unlocked. Don't leave your keys in there.
Well, I didn't learn my lesson, but somebody
between the three of us has to be the responsible one. And it's very clearly not us.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Anyways, I think that's it. I think it's just really important. Like, we are grateful for this friendship, but I don't think that it was something that just like, it fell into our laps. Like, we've worked hard at it. We've been intentional with it. We've been like openly vulnerable with each other to build something. And I think like we both look at this friendship as like one of the more special things in our life, and would do anything and everything to like maintain and like sustain it. And, I think that like the lesson here is like, it does take intention to build a friendship, and it takes like getting out of your comfort zone and like being a little bit brave and ballsy and like reaching out. Like, maybe you like just view it like online dating and being like, I'm gonna stick it out there. I'm gonna put my,
put yourself out
there and like try to build a friendship with somebody. And it's very, very doable. And it doesn't have to be somebody that's like from your past or like somebody at the same stage of life. It is just like, it can be a really, really beautiful thing in your life.
Yeah. And for like on your end, like not being offended if someone is not reaching out or like being there for you, but at the same time, you trying to do that as much as you possibly can when you have the availability to like send the text and be like, hey, I was just thinking about you. Like, I love you. Or I saw this picture and it reminded me of you. Or sending a freaking coffee. Like, how often
intentional. Yeah.
How often have we like done that for each other in our like,
I will never forget. I moved into my house and there was a blender and like frozen berries sitting on my front porch because Jess is like, your kids are going to need breakfast. Like
smoothies.
Yeah, to make smoothies. Like just things like that. Like it doesn't have to be like elaborate anything, but like little things like that. Like I'm thinking about you.
Every single one of my friends' addresses is in my Uber Eats. When I am going to order like my Chinese food, I first have to make sure that I'm not sending it to Philadelphia, Lincoln, Nebraska, like freaking Kansas City, Iowa, because I send my friends coffee or like something small every now and then.
It goes such a long way. Yeah. It is like really building.
Or I bring them
culture.
White Claws to their podcast episode.
It's only fitting we end with this.
Cheers to us.
Cheers to us and those lucky enough to be like us. Thanks for listening to The Summer of Me. You can listen to episodes on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube. Come hang out and follow my chaos on Instagram @KendraForNow. See you next time.